The premise of this video is basically me giving you a pep talk if you recently started a weight loss journey or a journey of healing, as I like to call it, and you have fallen off track or you haven't been keeping the promises you have made to yourself. This is so common, you guys. Like, I can't stress this enough that it is such a necessary part of the journey. The majority of my content is for tips and tricks to aid in the reversal of metabolic syndrome, specifically type 2 diabetes, PCOS, and other forms of insulin resistance. First, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit the bell for more health and fitness educational content. There are two types of falling off track. One is your body simply overcompensating for too much restriction. And two is you engaged in a behavior that represents the old you. I will give examples of both. So an example of over restriction is seen commonly in the bodybuilding community world with binge eating disorders. And an example of engaging in old behaviors would be going to a dinner party with old friends from college and overindulging and then waking up the next morning feeling like garbage. So those are the two types. I will specifically be addressing the second one. So those of us that simply engage in an old behavior and now you feel guilty and uncomfortable and bloated. When you start a weight loss journey, your motivation is high. That motivation eventually flips into discipline. The question is, how do you get from motivation to discipline? And the answer is by falling off track and then proving to yourself that you can make a new decision in the same environment. So just picture yourself as a sheep in the same field as a bunch of cows. Eventually, you're going to realize that you want to be in the field over there with all the sheep, but you need to learn how to begin acting like a sheep first. That's going to be hard because you have cows all around you right now, and cows don't know what a sheep acts like. So you need to kind of forge your own way for a little bit. And that's the beginning hump that you'll need to get over in your weight loss journey. It is the falling off track that makes the journey fun, rewarding, and worth doing because you're only human, or I guess sheep, and if you're in the same environment, it would take a very superhuman amount of discipline to immediately begin acting differently. So I guess right off the bat, the main message here is that falling off track is a good thing. It definitely does not feel like a good thing when it's happening, and I'll explain why. But just from this first ramble, the thing we want to remember is that falling off track is a good thing, and the way that you go from motivation to discipline is by being in the same environment, but making different choices, which is the hardest part. Another more human example is when you decide you're going to eat more nutritious foods and exercise, but you still live in a house where the pantry is full of chips and cookies and your body feels low energy. You'll feel like you need to exert tons of energy to eat an apple and go for a walk instead of giving into your habit of eating chips and watching Netflix. That's because it goes against what you've been practicing, and that is okay. Doing the new behavior in the same environment is what creates a habit and eventually a lifestyle change, but it doesn't need to happen all at once. It can if you want it to, but it doesn't need to. This is your journey, no one else's. Also, when you make enough new decisions, eventually your environment does change. So you're not just going to be constantly struggling to make new decisions in the same environment. So I'll do a little science breakdown of why you fell off track, because I think if we can really understand the body and our emotions, it helps us have more patience with ourselves as we go through the journey of transformation. If you begin a fitness journey or diet or whatever it is, there is a period of time where you are extremely motivated, but you haven't yet made the full transition to discipline. In this period, the cells of your body still remember the old you, the you that ate junk food and watched TV. This is important to understand because your cells are how your body stores memory. So when you begin eating better food and exercising, your cells are like, yes, now I can do my job better. And the actual vibration of your cells will increase, which is what you feel as a good mood. As soon as your cells experience that higher vibration, you can't go back. You have given your body a taste of what it can feel like, and it's going to be very strongly focused on that better feeling. This is a good thing. However, when you fall off track, it makes you feel worse because your cells have gotten used to this new version of you and they really, really like it. So the fact that you feel like garbage the day after eating and drinking things the old you had all the time is actually a good thing, because it means your cells are in the process of fully locking and loading the better behaviors. In other words, the discomfort you feel after falling off track is a sign that you were moving in the right direction. Back in October, I started a carnivore diet because it was the best strategy for me at the time to get some relief from symptoms. And it went really well, but I noticed that I would react extra strongly to anything that had sugar, gluten, seed oils, fiber, antibiotics, emulsifiers. Like pretty much 99% of the food in the grocery store I would react to. What I needed to learn during that period was how to separate my emotions from my symptoms. So I really had to practice seeing symptoms as data and not getting emotionally focused on them. The most notable symptom for me is bloating. And I think as women, we feel a lot of shame around bloating because society tells us we need to be thin and have a flat stomach. So instead of getting super frustrated at myself for causing the bloating, I had to really focus on not seeing it as an indication of my worthiness as a human, because that's what we do. When we mess up, we tell the story that we don't deserve happiness. And a better story is, this is just part of the journey and I'm going to continue with the next logical step. This is where my opinion has shifted a lot as a coach, because I used to think that my job was to make people aware of how falling off track is a bad thing and you should do everything you can to avoid it. Now I teach my clients to make decisions that move them in the right direction and accept that you just can't control everything. The acceptance that you'll do what you can, and if you fall off track, it's no big deal, is powerful. And it's powerful for two reasons. One, it changes your relationship with failure. And two, it gets you back on track faster. The reason why people don't start things is because they fear failure. So if you could see failure as a good thing, boom, you've won. And just this mindset alone will get you back on track faster, because you already know how to make yourself feel good by eating nutrient-dense foods and moving your body. So we're changing the story from I'm a failure to failure is good, I'll just get back on track. Now, if that helps, awesome. If you're still thinking, okay, that's cool, but how do I avoid eating chips and pizza? The correct answer to that is whatever you avoid will end up coming to you. So stop avoiding it, because it's everywhere. Like in the Western world, you could literally walk 500 meters in any direction and probably end up somewhere where there's chips or pizza. And honestly, I wouldn't change that, because I think people need options and sovereignty over their own body and choices. So to answer the question, how do you stop eating chips and pizza? Eat the chips and pizza, but pay attention to how it makes you feel. Here's why. As soon as you start including more nutrient-dense foods, your cells will calibrate to that, and you'll naturally start eating more of those and less of the pizza, because you know the pizza will always be there and you just choose to feel good in that moment. And back to what I said before about how habits are formed by making a new behavior in the same environment, just choosing to pay attention to how food makes you feel is a new behavior. So you can eat foods you were eating before, but become aware, and that is a new behavior. So now there's 3 things you can do right now to feel better if you're in that bloated, brain foggy, inflammatory state after eating or drinking junk foods. Number 1, drink lots of water, preferably filtered, maybe even warm, and with some lemon in it for flavor. This is important because your body needs hydration to reverse inflammation, and the warm is just because that usually feels nicer on your tummy, and the lemon is just what I do because I think it's delicious. Number 2, deep breaths. This calms your nervous system, slows any negative thoughts, and decreases bloating and inflammation because it tells your immune system it's safe to get to work. Number 3 is go for a walk, because gentle movement will encourage blood flow and improve your mood, and the food choices you make in a good mood are much different than the food choices you make in a bad mood. Thanks for watching my pep talk. Let me know in the comments if this helps and if there are any topics mentioned today that would be fun to expand on more. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped, and hit the bell for more health and fitness educational content. Until then, remember that you have the power to change any aspect of your life, especially your health.